Hey there, and welcome back to Tempting Fate Tours. In this episode, John puts more miles on his 75-year-old 27-horsepower car. A YouTube car star drives it and reviews it, and a friend saves the day and helps John avoid grueling rush hour traffic in London. When we last left you, John and our friend Richard had taken our old cars to Mini Plant Oxford, as close as we could get to the actual plant where they were built many decades earlier. After touring the display of classic Minis, including one Morris Minor, we said our goodbyes to Mini's cheerful PR guy Ben and headed out. Our destination was the British Motor Museum at Gaydon, which is also, I should point out, adjacent to Aston Martin headquarters. The museum was where the Morris Minor Owners Club would hold its annual two-day national rally, and we decided to take John's car. The next day, Richard and John joined some other researchers for an intensive day of diving into Morris Minor history in the museum's archives, helped by the fact that the museum has original production ledgers for almost all of the 1.6 million miners built over 24 years. Can you say intensive anorak day? Then we toured the British Motor Museum. We stopped to pay our respects to the very first miner built in September 1948, which was parked next to the very last miner saloon built in November 1970. Richard got the photo he wanted. As well as scores of British cars and prototypes, from well-known to obscure, there was another miner on display at the museum. It's a restoration project, previously known as the Owlshit Miner, as it had been stored in a barn under rafters where owls roosted for about 20 years. It's now been renamed Barney by young Emily, who will restore it. The next day, Saturday, was the miner meet proper. What can we say? A few hundred Morris miners gathered in the big parking lot, and we have lots and lots and lots of footage and photos of them. First, we got to take a picture with our friend Paul Ledbetter's son Frank. It replicated one we'd taken in 2018. John is grayer, Frank is taller. There was an auto jumble, or parts sale. Richard bought a wheel. And at the end of the day, our friend Steph asked if she could drive the red lowlight. Of course, we said. And from that, she produced a lovely video review of the car, which we'll link to in the comments for her channel, I Drive a Classic. Then, our friend Joe gave us a lift through more B roads to the hotel in his much faster turquoise Minor.
It's when I drive through villages like this that I think, oh yes, the lowlight would fit just perfectly, and the photos would be the same, except they'd be in black and white.
Yes, rather than Technicolor.
Our usual advertisement comes here. If you like what we do, please subscribe to the channel, please follow us on Blue Sky, and leave us comments. We love comments and we do actually respond to them. The final day of the meet, on Sunday, John had been invited to talk about what it was like to drive hundreds of miles in an old miner. He was joined on stage by Stephen Gordon of Northern Ireland.
What on earth possessed you to bring it over from America and drive it around Europe for the summer?
Arranged me. I'd always wanted to do MOT, and I thought, I just for doing silly things. And so, why not ship a car to the Netherlands and join a bunch of other minor lunatics who are driving much faster cars?
That's, as long as you're not in a hurry, they're perfectly fine. I mean, they were designed to be used, so use them.
I think that's fantastic advice, absolutely. They can be used as is. And I think some people overlook that, and they want to make tweaks and things like that aren't necessary. You just use them as they were designed, at the speeds that they were designed for.
Then came a moment John had waited for since 1980.
This car behind me led to the foundation of the Million Register.
A little bit of history here. The Morris Minor was the first British car ever to reach production of 1 million units in 1961. So a run of 349 replica miners was built, along with the actual millionth car. And they had Minor 1 million badges, replacing the standard Minor 1,000 badges. By the late 60s, these were somewhat scorned and often got repainted. But now, they've become prized collector cars, and a host of them had gathered at the meet. Among those was a car that was special to John, 1,000,001, the first left-hand drive million sent to North America for display at BMC stands at US and Canadian auto shows that year. The car was discovered in San Francisco in 1980, in poor shape, by John's friend Rick Feibush, who rescued it for the princely sum of $50. It had no engine, it was covered in flat black paint, the roof was dented, and the interior was entirely gone. Then, it passed through half a dozen owners until 2015, when it got an extremely well-done restoration, really show quality. It ended up back in the UK and was part of this display, and owner Martin Stoker was kind enough to let John drive the car, something he'd waited 44 years to do.
We're going to do anything synchronized dancing with these cars. They do have a very active register. We'll hear a bit about that in a moment. They've been on some very good runs.
John was also asked to discuss the early years of the Million Register. Again, this is serious anorak stuff, but hey, that's really what car meets are about, right? Finally, it was time to depart. After a packed weekend among fellow owners, John, frankly, dreaded having to drive the lowlight back to London, back through traffic to its secret garage. That's when our friend Tom Morris came to the rescue. You may remember Tom, he's the fellow we beat in the trivia quiz. He very kindly offered to house the car in one of a handful of lockups he and his fiancée Emily have in a nearby village. We gratefully took him up on the offer, and after a visit to their house, which has more miners and some other cars too, we stashed the lowlight and covered it up. Tom dropped John at the train station in their turquoise Hillman Minx convertible with the top down, which was a wonderful way to end the weekend. Okay, you ask, John's back on another train, and you've already sent the cars to the Netherlands, you've driven through that country, you added a little bit of Germany, you brought them to England on a ferry, you stored them in London, and then you brought the 49 lowlight up to Gaydon for this event. Why not back to London? Well, we have one more big thing to do with the cars. Stay tuned.